I want to get on to the pandemic measures though now, David Elliott, because the story is breaking this afternoon that your colleague, the Health Minister Brad Hazzard, wants to extend the pandemic powers in New South Wales, which already go out to March next year, wants to extend them a further year to March 2023. That is way over the top, isn't it?
Well, that's a matter of public debate now within the government, and indeed it's appropriate that the Parliament and members of the government express their opinions. I mean, I think the public health orders have served us well over the course of the last 18 months, and we will be making sure that any changes are well and truly scrutinised. They obviously have to be signed off by the Cabinet, by the Parliament, and indeed the government party room, and that debate's going on at the moment. I understand people's anxiety about this. I don't want these rules or laws to be prolonged any longer than they have to. As I said, I think that they've served us well, but we've got to make sure that the people of Australia know, the people of New South Wales particularly know, that the government doesn't want to overreach when it comes to these restrictions. In fact, the quicker we ease them, the better it is, and I think we've shown ourselves to that effect.
But this is the strange point. This is what's so unusual about this. New South Wales has had the lightest touch, the most pragmatic touch on this, and even more so after Dominic Perrottet took over as Premier. Why on earth would you extend these powers out more than a year from now, right up to the next election? It sends entirely the wrong message to the public, to business, to travellers, everybody.
Well, that's a matter for the Health Minister to make that argument. I mean, my view is that whatever the public health orders, whatever the Parliament agrees the public health orders should have, the New South Wales Police will uphold. But, you know, it is very appropriate for members of the government, members of Parliament, and indeed members of the community to push the envelope, push back. If they believe this is an overreach, they need to let the government know that.
But isn't the point here that under the Act, the Health Minister can declare this? He doesn't even really technically need the support of Cabinet, although of course he'd need it. Parliament doesn't get to vote on this and override this. It's about an internal debate within your government that's happening right now, and somebody needs to tell the Health Minister this is not on.
Well, the Parliament has to pass the Health Act, and indeed whatever changes to that Act have to be agreed by both houses of Parliament. So the Health Minister can only act on what what authority the Parliament has given him. But as I said, I get it. I get the anxiety. Australians are just sick of governments telling them what to do. We've been to hell and back in the last 18 months.
So do you oppose this?
We need to make sure
sorry, David Elliott. So do you oppose this proposal? Will you be opposing an extension till March 2023? Well,
as you know, Chris, as a member of Cabinet, my comments in the public domain have to be restricted, and that is against every instinct in my body, as you well know. But I certainly appreciate the fact that there is anxiety amongst parliamentarians, and I certainly appreciate, and I've heard the message from constituents right across the state, and indeed my own constituents, that any changes to these laws, any changes or any extension of authority to ministers or indeed the bureaucracy needs to be challenged. That's appropriate, and I encourage that.
Thanks for joining us, Minister. I appreciate it. The New South Wales Police Minister there, David Elliott, making sure we know exactly where he stands on this proposal to extend the emergency pandemic powers from March next year to March the following year, to the next state election in New South Wales. You can hear there he's obviously constrained by what he can say as a member of Cabinet. Clearly it's a live issue within New South Wales Cabinet now, with disagreement within the government. Dominic Perrottet want to stamp on this straight away and rule this out. You can't extend those emergency powers for what would be 17 months until the next election. It goes against everything the New South Wales government has been trying to do. This will be big news tomorrow. We will follow it up.